Hey, what's up, guys? It's Timmy, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I made this toggle animation, and not just the animation part, but also how to make it interactive using Rive new data binding feature. So I make this fun and usable in any real app or UI design. So if you are learning Rive or you just want to polish your UI or your interface, you are in the right place. And yeah, let's get started, guys. So first thing first, let me stop this. So first thing first, I'm going to create an artboard. Just going to give it 500 by 500, 500 by 500, and I'm going to change the color to something white. Yeah, I think we can go with this. So I'm going to create an a rectangle shape. So that's going to represent our. I'm going to give it a full corner radius. I'm just going to cross this a bit, align it to the center, and I'm going to change the color. I think we can go with this, something like this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add more shadow effect, so it can give it that realistic view. So I'm going to activate my feather, and going to change this direction to inner, and let me just give this maybe 5. We are not seeing it because it has same color with the background, so I'm just going to change the color to something that you guys can see what I'm trying to do. So you can work with this. So I'm going to change the amount of our blood to maybe 4. Let me change this to probably maybe 4 as well. I think 4 it's, let's see. I think 4 will work. I think this is nice. This I will work with that, and this duplicate. I'm going to change this to minus. I'm going to change the y-axis to -4. Yeah, something like this. So I'm just going to change the color to bright, just to give that shadow emphasis. Yeah. So we can work with this. I think we can work with this. And so let's create our toggle or knob, whatever you call it, whatever you can call it. So I'm going to hold down my shift key to give it a rounded shape, a uniform shape, I mean. So I'm going to reduce the size to maybe 80. I think 80 will work. And let's align it to the center. So this let me see. Okay. So you guys can see this red line. That is our snapping. So it gives you direction of center or right or left, something like that. It's just for a guide. So you guys might need it. So let's have let's change the color. Let me just give it maybe blue color, something like this. Yeah, I think we can go with this. So I'm going to duplicate the color, and I want to I want it to be like I want it to be like Tom Tom Sweet. Sorry for using that illustration, but I want it to be like a sweet, like a Tom Tom Sweet. So I'm going to first thing I'm going to let me try and change the blend mode to soft light. Soft light, yeah. Okay. So I can actually activate our feather. Let me try that. Let me see what it's going to give us. So going to change the color to white. Okay. Change this to maybe 4. Let's try 4 or maybe 8. And maybe this 8 as well. Let me give it like 4. Let's see. Okay. I think our tom is coming. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. Okay. So we can manage that. So I'm just going to duplicate this. I'm going to change this to -4. You guys can see I'm just going to change the color. I'm going to change this color to black so you can give us that deep shadow. Yeah, that deep shadow. You guys can see. Yeah, I think our tom is coming. Okay, so now that we have this, um I'm going to change our ellipse shape to a vertex. I'm going to convert it to vertex um shape, so it gives me the access to edit the shapes like the angles or the path. Yeah, so that's because I'm going to be animating the shapes like the path. So that's done. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to duplicate it. You guys don't worry, I'm still going to give it a name, but let's let's design first. So to have that, not that, I'm just going to use this. Just going to use something like this. I'm going to get rid of this color and this one as well. I'm just going to use linear. So reason I'm using linear is I want it to give me that same um same shadow that this has, but not, I don't want it to be that obvious. So that's why I'm using linear. And so um let me just get rid of our feather and let's see. Okay, I think this is better. And still let's adjust the brightness. Something like this. You guys can just play around it. Just trying to play around it as well. So can have it in the center, but I'll just leave it like this. Yeah, just going to leave it this way. Or there's an idea that came to my mind now, but because of time, let's just stick with this. I wanted to make it the I want to make these edges very sharp, so you can give that exact that top vibe. But I think this we can go with this. We can actually go with this. So now that we have our toggle designed, let's give them name. Let's name them. So I'm going to call this. I'm just going to call this track. I'm going to call this a knob. going to call this a knob shadows or inner knob, something like that. Inner knob. So we have that. I'm going to group this together. I'm going to group this. I'm going to call this our knob. So I'm going to group the two together. I'm going to group the two together. Sorry guys. Um, so I'm going to call this toggle. So yeah, we have our toggle just like that. Like simple, sleek, and fun. So let's move to the animation part. So the animation part, we are going to need two animations, right? We are going to need off and on. Oh, before that, I did not add our text. So let me do that. Let's call this off. I'm going to make it maybe extra bold, 48 in size. Okay, can have this. Gonna duplicate it and going to call this on. Yeah. So I'm going to name this off, this on. Gonna duplicate. Sorry, I'm going to group them together. Grouping is very essential, guys. Like, don't and give your element a name that you can easily remember, or you can easily remember. I'm going to call this off or status text. So I'm going to actually add it to this group. Let's put it up. So yeah, I'm going to think the white is too bright. Let me just change it to something like this. I think this is better. Can have this. So let's go back to the animation mode. So as I was saying, we are going to need two animations. We are going to need a off animation state and we are going to need a on animation state. So let's just create them on our timeline. So I'm going to have one timeline that will say it's going to be on. Let's have on. So we are not going to do much. So we don't need to think, we don't need to overthink the animation. So what I'm going to do is select our knob group and I'm going to key in the X position. So I'm going to come to the middle, which is the 30 frame, and I'm going to drag this straight to the right hand side. I'm going to drag it to our right hand side. I think this is better. Let's have it here. Let me see where this one is. Okay, let me. Okay, so we can have it uniform. So we have something like this. Voila, we have our toggle off to on. But we are not done yet. Let's make let's still make fun of let's make it fun actually. So I'm going to open up our knob group. I'm going to come to the knob and activate our vectors. So I'm going to key in all our vertices because I'm going to be animating them. I'm going to come to the middle of our toggle, and key in the vertex. Go to the last, the 30 frame, key in our vertex. So now I'm going to come back to our middle because this is where I want the magic to happen. This is where I want the transition, like, yeah. So I'm going to drag this, something like this. Let's drag this as well, something like this. I think this is okay. Let's drag this, and make this maybe a little more, something like this as well. So let's see, something like this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Our tom is solid, or is liquid, sorry. Our tom is liquid. Yeah, liquid move. Okay, so I'm going to do same thing with our inner knob. That as well needs to be liquid. So I'm going to activate our vertex. I'm going to key in all our vertices, move to the center, key in all our vertices, key in all our vertices, and go back to the center where we want the magic to happen. So we are going to drag this as well. Yeah, and maybe bring this down, bring this little up. Yeah, and can just make this look like a rectangle, kind of, something like this. Still drag this one down a bit, and maybe stretch our angles. I'm just playing around actually, so we can go with this. We can go with this. Let's see. Okay, so let's manage this for this tutorial. But I'm challenging you guys. You guys can make this toggle more fun and interactive. You can make your knob anything. Just make magic, guys. Rife is interesting. Just make magic, because Rife itself is magic. So what we are going to do now is let's add an interpolation. So interpolation is going to handle if we want it to be slow a bit at first and react fast at the end, or we want, you know, we just want it to be little more like we are giving more how am I going to put it, expectations, or um yeah, let me just use expectations so I don't, so you guys can see that the move is even more sleek with interpolation, but we can still make it more better. So I'm just going to the first key. I'm going to take out the ease in. I'm going to take out the ease in. So in case you don't know how interpolation works, or you don't know interpolation is these keys are out, while this one that I just dragged is in. So this way that I dragged it now is like I'm taking it out. Like I want the animation to happen so fast at the beginning, and it might slow up at the end. So you guys can see. You guys can see. Sorry, taking it out. So let's just stick with this. Mm. So now we are going to. I'm going to. We have our horn animation. So let's have off. I'm going to duplicate this. going to call this off. Off. Off here. So we are not doing much. We just need to change those timelines, like we are going to intertwine, or I don't know, interswitch anyone. So I'm going to switch it. Yeah. So we have our horn back to off, and we have our off back to on, and we have our on back to off. So that's all we need. Let's make magic with state meshing. So state meshing is just like our brain box that we merge up our transitions, our animations to become a transition. So it's like in state machines, you can give an input that gives an instruction to your animations that turns to transitions, like this that you want to do now. Like I'm going to use an input. I'm going to use an input, sorry, a boolean input. Sorry guys. So I'm going to use boolean input. I'm going to call it is on. So this boolean input is going to be the input that is going to take control our transitions. So this input is the one that is going to be the instructor, something like that. So I'm going to drag in our off animation, and let's see how this works. So I'm going to connect it with entry, from entry to off, and from off to on. And surely you want it to be off and on, off and on. So we have to connect it back to off. So ooh, all I just need to do now is tell you that this thing is fucking, like, sorry guys for my, this thing is straight up. If my is on is true, on, please, on my toggle. So that's what it's saying. And I'm going to say, I'm going to click on this arrow as well that go back to off, that if my is on is false, please go back to off. Simple as that. So let's see what we have. You guys can see. So we have off, and if I toggle, when it's on, it goes to on, and when I off my boolean, it goes back to off. So that's exactly what we want. But if you guys can see some, like, you guys, if you guys can see, we have a little glitch, and which is, if I start the animation jumps from on to off. That's not what we want. We want it that when you input, when we want it static, like we want it I do until we interact with it, until we interact with the toggle. That's exact. And how can we achieve that? So what we can do is, we are going to create an I do for our off and our on. So in that case, we have our sorry guys, we have um our animations in I do until we interact with it. So let's just do that. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So um I'm going to call it start off or something like that. Start off. So the only thing that I'm going to be animating in this is just the last keyframe in this our off timeline. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Yeah. So I'm going to do the same for the on as well. So I'm going to call this start on. and I'm going to copy the last keyframe in our horn, and I'm going to paste it here. Voila, that's all we need. So now we come here and we rearrange, we restructure. I'm going to drag this both down. Just let me drag them down. Oh my god. Okay, that's enough. So I'm going to drag our off to the stage, start off and start on to the stage. Okay. So now I'm going to connect the two to I'm going to content entry to both because I want it in technically like using it in a real world in a real app. If you toggle your switch your toggle, maybe you want to switch it to dark mode. Once you switch to dark mode, you want it there, right? You want it to show there that okay, it's in dark mode until you interact with it back to light mode. So that's what we are going to achieve here. Like I want it that one when I interact with it, it's only when I interact with it should jump to maybe on or off. So if I have it in, let me connect this so you guys can understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to put this that when it's on, should be false. And when this is on, it should be true. Something like this. So in this case, when if I have my is on in like not toggled, so you guys can see it sticks with start off. But what we if we have it at the back end, like what if we have it on already? It starts here. It stick with what we have like updated at the back end. So that's what we want. So yeah. So let's connect it back to our off and on. So in this case now, we wanted that okay when we interact with the toggle or the knob, sorry. So we want it to jump to on straight up, and when we interact with it again back to off. So but right here I have off, 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 up, on. So I'm just going to change our timeline here to on. Change this one back to off. Connect them, and let's make magic. So I'm going to use our trigger as our transitions, like to give transitions to back and forth, like going back on and off. So I'm going to call our trigger. I'm going to call our trigger input um toggle or active. Let me just use toggle. So now I can say if toggle if toggle is toggle if toggle is toggled, let me take this out. If toggle is toggled, please toggled. If toggle is toggled, please toggle. Yeah. And let's see what we have, guys. So now if I toggle, toggles. You can do this forever actually. So yeah, we have our toggling. So if we wanted to like if we want to add more interactive like in real time, maybe we want to interact with the toggle with our mouse. So what we can do is we have our we are going to click on our knob and come to our listeners. So I'm just going to click on this plus button and our state machine is listening to this knob group. So now what I'm just going to tell the listener is that I'm going to come here and change this to if I interact with knob, or when my pointer enters, which is my mouse. So I'm just going to say when my pointer click on the knob, it should toggle. So I'm going to set it here that should. Let me get rid of this so I can add input change and select toggle. So what I'm saying is when I interact with knob, please, when I interact with, like when I click on knob, toggle, please fire toggle. So let's see. You guys can see it fires toggle. So we can do this forever. Let me just on this so it can start properly. What's going on? Okay, yeah, this is exactly what I want. Okay, so we have our toggle interactive. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do this with data binding. So basically the whole concept of data binding is it allows you to connect your transitions or your animations to real data. No extra logic, no extra logic needed actually. So all this that I did here, you can actually run it with data binding, and I'm going to show you guys how I did it with data binding. So I'm going to duplicate this artboard. I'm going to duplicate this artboard so I can show you guys how I did it. So I'm going to get rid of this. We don't need that, but we still need our transitions intact. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here, I'm going to go to my data, and I'm going to create a view model. So I'm going to click on this plus button to create a view model. I'm going to call our view model toggle view model. So view model, you can have we have different type of properties in view models, inside view models, inside one view model. So we have number, we have string, we have boolean, we have color, we have string, sorry, we have trigger, we have enum. So number is controlling the number inputs, like counting from 10 to 100, or string is text, like text. Yeah. So boolean is true or false. Color is when you want to change, you want to play with it. Trigger. So but in this tutorial, we are just going to use boolean and trigger. So I'm going to name our boolean is on, just the same as the one that we did with input properties. So I'm going to use is on, and I'm going to create trigger. Okay, so now that is set, let's connect them to our transitions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to okay, so I'm going to get rid of this first and have our is on. This will be false, and okay, let me just do this so I can. So I'm going to set this to is on to true. So from here now we can, let me take this out so it doesn't jump. So before I jump to this, there's something crucial that we have to do, which is we have to bind our view model to our artboard. So I'm going to come right here, I'm going to click on our artboard so you can see this input. So you can bind your viewboard to your artboard. If you don't do this, it's not going to work. So you have to do that. So now let's test. So you guys can see. Okay, so you guys can see. So we have our knob to stay at false. If it's not on, just stay at off. So let's see what's going to happen to if I change it to true, if it's actually going to work. So you guys can see it actually works exactly the way we did it at input property. So yeah, that's done. So now let's use our toggle, our trigger. So I'm going to connect this back to this, connect this back to this, and I'm going to say if our toggle view model toggle is toggled, go to on. Same as this. If it's toggled, go to off. Same as this. If it's toggled, please, switch. Let's see what we have. So I'm going to toggle, worked, toggle, it worked, toggle, it worked, toggle, it worked. So yeah, this worked. So yeah, this is how sweet and sleek view model can make your transitions more effective. And I would like to show you guys if let me just show you guys the color. You can change this color stuff too as well. So you can just play around the color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind our knobs color, which is this one. We just only need to um bind this with this our color, and other ones are going to steal from this one, something like that. So I'm just going to double click or right click. So I'm going to data bind. I'm going to select property. I'm going to select the color property. So you guys can see the color change to green. So that means it's bind. So if I play, so if I come in and you guys will see what's going to happen. Let me change this to false so that's from off. So if I play, you guys can see that it's changed the color to pure black because we have a default color here. And if I try to change the color here now, you guys will see the magic. Let me try and you guys can see. So even in like when your animation is on, you can even iterate, you can adjust. So that's one of the cool part of this view model as well. It allows you to iterate, it allows you to think like, it allows you to put your developers as well in mind. You think like a developer, you think of how to manipulate data inside your transitions. So and I like, how am I going to put it? This is just a start, so I'm still going to explore a lot of this view model because data binding, because it's a game changer. And yeah, we have our animation and our toggle ready. It's ready, and if you guys can see it, you guys can tell it's simple, it's fun, it's simple, fun. Oh, okay. There is one more thing. I think I did not add the real-time interaction, so I'm just going to do that. Just going to do that. Take this out. and use our view model. I'm just going to use toggle. So now it's supposed to work. So if I have this, this. So let me just change the color. I think this color is not, I think actually it must be changed. Let's use this. Okay. So if I play now, it gives us that color. I think this is better. So now we can toggle forever. And you can actually use this on a real product. Think of like a dark am I going to put a dark mode toggle or a notification that needs off and on toggle or anything that you just think it needs this motion actually. So yeah, I agree with me. This is simple and fun. So and it worked. That's the beautiful part of it. It worked. So if you found this helpful, please go ahead and drop a like. And if you are learning Rive like I am, please subscribe and follow because I'm going to be sharing more tutorials and tips and motion experiments like this every week. So yeah, just grab along, please subscribe. And if you want this toggle file or you want me to go more deeper on Rive data binding magic, yeah, it's a magic. Just drop the comments yeah, just drop the comments below. I got you. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you next one. Bye.